Welcome to Tai Chi. Everybody ready? Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Touch toe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful. Shift your weight to the left. Kick your right foot. Good Tai Chi posture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heisman, opening up your span, parallel feet, choose the right side, cross and sit on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift weight, cross. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Short 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cross training. Fanjirong. Arms extended, fingers widespread, going forward. Be 1, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Reverse, yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Making circles with our foot. Gyar koi mun. Standing on your left, circle with your right. Ibe, yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Reverse, yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Stand on your right, circle with your left. Ibe, yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Reverse, yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Okay, pile of sand in front of us. We're going to kick up the sand. First, stand on your left. Kick the sand up with your right. Ibe, yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Pedal forward. Yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Stand on your right, kick up the sand with your left. Ibe, yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Pedal forward. Yut, ni, sam, se, look, chut, bot, go, sup. Okay, normally we would play our jumps. This time we're going to box. Okay, opening up our stance, squatting down, fingers widespread. Hands to the back. Serong, hey. Yut, ni, sam. Ni, sam. Sam, ni, sam. Se, ni, sam. Ni, sam. Look, ni, sam. Chut, ni, sam. Bot, ni, sam. Go, ni, sam. Sup, ni, sam. Okay, practice that one. All right, golden cockerel, okay? Good Tai Chi posture, learning to stand erect, head always straight up, making sure you can spin on your axle, make sure you can shift your weight. Okay, here we go. Golden cockerel. Spiraling. Last set. Okay, kicking out. 50-50, shift weight to the left. Closer to your danten. Bring it up. Follow with your eyes, follow with your hand, counterbalance nicely. Last set. Holding our ball, root down, T stance, L stance, bow the legs, bow stance. Sit back, twist step, T stance, L stance, bow the legs. Take that time to bow the legs. Get more familiar with that. Sit back, twist step, root down, T, L, bow the legs, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, T stance, L stance, bow the legs, bow stance. Listen carefully. Sit back, sit down, pivot, brush your knee. T stance, L stance, bow the legs, hands go for the ride. Sit back, sit down, pivot, T stance, multitask, turn the hips and waist. Magic begins. Sit back, sit down, pivot, T stance, set it up, turn the hips and waist. There you have it. Sit back, sit down, pivot, set it up correctly, multitask, then turn the hips and waist to brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, set it up correctly, multitask, turn hips and waist. There you have it. Sit back, sit down. Last one, make it good. T stance, set it up correctly. Multitask, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot. Hold your ball on a T stance, out and to the side, ward off. Got enough space, then to turn your hips and waist, reposition your hands. Keep the feet flat. Turn, contact, push, separate. Make sure the hands are up higher, then low, then up, and then lunge forward together. Sit back, sit down, pivot, round off with a ball on a T, out on an L, ward off just to give you enough space. Turn hips and waist, reposition your hands, sit down, sit back, turn at the hips and waist. Contact, turn at the hips and waist, push from the center of your body, separate the energy and roll back. Sit down, come up, and then come forward. Okay, everything that I say has to be done exactly like how you interpret it. Hold your ball on a T, out on an L, ward off, pause, turn hips and waist, reposition, bring down the bird's tail, turn at the hips and waist, contact, turn at the hips and waist, center of the body, push the energy out and separate it and roll back, sit down, then come up, and then advance forward. Sit down, sit back, pivot, hold your ball on a T stance, make it perfect. Out and to the side, ward off, pause, turn the hips and waist, reposition the hands, sit down, sit back, look back. Contact, turn at the hips and waist, push from the center, separate and roll back, sit down, come up, then lunge forward together. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock. We're getting into a single whip, T stance, hook, look, across the face, out, single whip. Cloud hands, sit back, sit down, pivot. 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Hips and waist working. 9 o'clock, flip the hands, close the feet. middle or cup, 3 o'clock, open, middle or cup, 9 o'clock, flip the hands, close the feet, 3 o'clock, actually I lost track, okay, that might be an extra one, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, hook, out, single whip. Half step, sit back, rock the front, lift up the front, pat your horse. Cross at the wrist, step out on a zigzag on a heel of your left, gather the energy, center it towards your danten, bring it up, kick out, right. Pull in, drop gently. On your heel on an L stance, double punch, finish it off by turning your wrists inward. Sit back, sit down, pivot, open the hands, center by your danten, come up, kick out, left, in, toe down. Okay, now just check your toe down. I didn't ask for single serpent yet. That toe down, everybody doesn't have it. Okay, it has to be parallel to your planted right foot, and it should be in line with the heel of your planted foot. So turn around this way. Okay, so maybe it'll be our lesson, but maybe not. Okay, so when you have your right foot, down and you're getting ready for this toe of the left foot has to be straight out from your heel of your right foot. So it cannot just come out and be here because it's not in line, right? So we're only looking for a small area in which it's on a different plane. But yes, it's still there, but I don't want it back here because you're going to have a difficulty doing the serpent. Okay, so it's important to look at that one again, okay, and maybe we'll cover it this morning. Okay, so there's some question about how to get into single whip. Okay, so can you just watch first, okay? So we're in our last grasping of the bird's tail, I believe. Sit back, sit down, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Shift your weight, 3 o'clock, hook. You're on a T, out and to the side, single whip. Okay, I'm gonna do it again and then we're gonna work on it, okay? Just for a little bit. Okay, I'm going to show you how that last grasping of the bird's tail. So I push out after I bring down the bird's tail, sit back, twist, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Okay, I don't want to close because 12 o'clock, only when I shift my weight to hook, that becomes the T. Then out and to the side, turn the wrists out, flatten towards palms going out, okay? So that foot flattens the same time the hand turns. Out, sit back, sit down, pivot, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, shift weight, hook, across, L, out. Okay, so my remedy was to just go a little faster rather than look for something to tell you to do. Okay, so maybe I can slow it down. Push out, sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, shift that weight, T, hook, out, turn, L stance, single whip. Okay, one more time, push out, sit back, sit down, pivot, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, shift that weight, hook, out, L. Okay, one more time. Right foot forward, push, out. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, weight down even firmer, hook 3, T, out, out, single whip. maybe not so much in this class, but don't forget the modification when we everybody can learn from this one, okay? So when we ward off, out and to the side, ward off. Remember I said pause, and I've also used give me my space, then I say pause, then I say what? Turn hips and waist, reposition the hand. Now at this point, the feet are flat. All you're doing is shifting of the weight, turning the hips and waist, contact, turning the hips and waist to bring you forward in the middle, then separate. Then now you can lift up that heel. Sit down, because what I see now is that when you don't sit down, you slant forward. But what I'm asking you to do is make yourself small, plant yourself so that you're more flexed on the back knee, then come up and then come forward, rather than this is incorrect, okay? Don't do that. But everything that you learn has a formation, and then later on when you get all those itty bitty things in, then you can blend it together and work. But if you blend it in from the start, there's no value in that, I would think. Okay, no advantage. So remember when we were drilling, I said everything that I say has to be meaningful. You have to do that. Okay, and then later on, it's worked into your system, then you don't have to hear me, but you yourself are alerted to those words. All right. So we're gonna look at cloud hands and get into our second single whip and move on. So in cloud hands, it's surely a shifting of weight and leading with the toe rather than the heel. We also know that in order for us to do a good cloud hand, although our hands are extended and in front of us, our shoulders are dropped. And we can only move our upper body if our what? Hips and waists are moving, okay? So in other words, my hips and waists are moving me to the 3 o'clock, to the 9 o'clock. But if for some reason they don't move, it only becomes a hand motion. So you want to engage your hips and waists all the time to make that upper body work as a unit rather than something, you know, disconnected. Starting where we drilled, we're at the last grasping of the bird's tail, moving on to a nice single whip, moving on to a nice cloud hands, and ending with another single whip, okay? So that's our task. Right foot on a line, left foot 45, push out. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock. Use your hips and waist to get to the 9, 12 o'clock. Shift your weight to hook at 3, T, out and to the side. Turn that wrist, single whip. First one, sit back, sit down. Pivot, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Hips and waist engaged, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Two things happen. 12 o'clock. Two things happen at 3. Second rotation. Use your hips and waist. Two things happen at 9. Third rotation. Two things happen at 3. Two things happen at 9. Middle or cup. T, hook, out and to the side. Second single whip. Half step. Sit back. Rock the front, lift it up, high pat on the horse. Okay, come back. All right. So you may interpret my words as a certain way, and then that's your Tai Chi, but then just give yourself a chance to see how I use those words and why I say them, okay? So you can kind of match what I say and what I do, okay? So this is the orientation that we're at. Shift weight, hook, out. Okay, I'm just going to take it one time this way, but I want to concentrate on something, okay? One rotation. There's a certain distance in which your hands should do cloud hands so that it's not too far forward, but not too far close, but just right to make your Tai Chi posture work for you, okay? T, root down even further, hook at that and look at it, come across, step out, turn the wrist, sink a single whip. This sets us up, okay? Half step, you don't have to force the hands back, but the mere fact that you're going to sit back on your back foot helps you to alleviate the weight of the front, which naturally brings it to this stance. Lift up, come down, drop the shoulders, up the mane, cross. This one now, zigzag. You don't want to come forward. You want to come forward, but not straight, but on a slant. Shift the weight, center yourself because you need that core working for you, then follow the kick. Come in, L stance on a heel, bring that hand closer to your hips, bring it in, punch the guy's ears, and then at the end, turn the palms closer to his ears. Cinch it down, sit back, open because it warrants it because you're twisting and turning, gathering by your danten, coming up with your foot, elbows in, then kick out, in, and then work on this one. That's already, I can see that it's in that neighborhood because this guy happened to be on a line and this happens to be near that line. But then work on this. Once you kick out and come down like this and hook, you're going to have to plant yourself down this way. Plant yourself down this way because you're dropping down. You're not just dropping your hand down. You're lowering yourself with your knee by flexing. Okay, this guy stays where it is in that area, twisting to a zigzag this way, suspended, really suspended rather than keeping it any other way, then shift your weight to come up. So you could see, but maybe not realize that if you take too big of a span and yet your heel and toe are in line, you're going to be so stretched out that sometimes it's harder to then come up and shift your weight. So you're going to have to find that area. But just knowing that doesn't mean that you should always take a shorter span just because you don't want to get into that position. You want to get into your optimal position depending on your physique, okay? So that's something that's very personalized, so you're going to have to work on it, okay? Not only to know that that toe has to be in line with that heel, but also that distance in which you have to gain that optimal position. Come down. The hand comes to the middle. You're going to spin out to your right, then come up. Then when we work on the other side, on the other serpent, it's spinning out to the zigzagging to the right, left and then right, rather than straight on. But once you come to the needle, then it's straight on, okay? So it's a little pattern there. So it's a lot of detail, but it won't work until you try it out. Then you try it out, and then we can dig in and kind of uniform our movements, okay? All right. So here again, it's personal depending on your strength and everything else. So I would say this is my comfortable position. I mean, you see people all the way down there and sitting and then making that serpent. But I would say, just like in your other movements, you go down as low as you want to. but know that you're straight up and you're posted, and you know that this will become an insubstantial or is an insubstantial so that it could pivot and take you out this way, okay? So good question, but I think you'll find that how much to weight down as you work with it. Oh, and so Ken saying, hey, we did this one, remember? We did cross and we did our Heisman, yeah? So did that go back to your Heisman and say, if that's the comfortable weighted down and the deepness that you can afford or feel comfortable, then apply it to your Serpent. So that's a good reference. So do you remember me saying that everything that I try to instruct verbally, you need to match it with what you do physically? Here again, especially with a more complex movement such as Serpent, if you don't plant yourself and if you don't understand, I see some of my students just going, because that's Serpent. That's an easy out, but they don't get the point that you cannot just swoop and get there and say, oh, I did Serpent. You know, there's something more to Tai Chi than that. Yeah, it's a discipline. So you're going to learn to plant, you're going to learn to turn the hip, you're going to learn to pivot out, and you're going to learn to shift your weight. And if you do it carefully and like Ken says, do due diligence, you're going to see that it's going to be rewarding. You're doing it in synchrony, you're doing it in how your body should move, and it's safe, okay? There was something else I needed to talk about, so here's this. I really never say there is homework. I just take for granted that people who really want to dig in and learn, they'll do it. And the others will just, you know, they're too busy, which is fine. But if you want to layer this next week with a good Serpent, I would try some of this out. Get used to get your body used to the move and learning what it is to plant, to shift weight, and everything else, okay? And turn on that axle. We're using all the principles that we've been hearing, and now we're trying to apply, and that's the point of this whole thing about Tai Chi.
This is a real complex movement. It's toward the end, and it's probably physically the most demanding. And there's a lot of stuff going on, and you know, over time, I look at it and I say, yeah, that's not the way. I've been doing it such and such way, and I alter my movements, and I've done this, and I continue to do it. That's just the way it is. That's part of, I think, evolving with what the movement demands versus what you can do physically and what you intellectually grasp as what is the job, so to speak. And that's the challenge in some ways. But what I'd like to have you do is think about, Lucille was alluding to people just sort of do this and they just here. But she also emphasized that once you get out here, you have to hold your position. You're going to come down, you hold your position here. You do not advance. And one way to help yourself is not to be so eager to turn your head and your eyes. You come out this way, and then you're coming down. As you're coming down, you watch this thing come down. It's like watching the ball at New Year's Eve, okay? You watch it come down. Once you're down here, then it's time to start to go forward. Otherwise, what happens is it's look from up, coming across, look. Then you're looking. Take your time. You got all the time in the world, because this is supposed to be one of the favorite positions. And if you were to choose this position as one of your exercises, you know, this takes the least amount of energy to stay in this position. If I just, here, I can stay here conceivably not all day, but a lot longer, okay? Because you're stable. Once you start to move, you're unstable, you can't stay very long. So, down. Take your time to look where you're going to go. And when you come out, if you're good at it, what happens is arm and leg, two arms are pretty much balanced. This guy doesn't duck and hide. It's, okay? And then you got to get your foot correct and not be too stretched. I tend to stretch too far because I'm just pushing myself, but she's right. If you come up here, not too bad because you just come right up. Versus if you're way out here and you try to do one of these things, man, it takes a lot of work to come up here. But as you evolve and as you practice, if your goal is to increase your strength, you got to stretch out. If your goal is to just put it together, and initially that's probably the best thing so you can do it smoothly, don't take so wide a stance so when you go from one position to this position, stable, stable. Because here you're sort of semi-stable with a bow step, a little bit of weight here, but you're ready to just come up. So take your time, look the hand all the way down, and then make like a serpent come across.
Actually, serpent is very difficult, and like Ken said, in both of us, it's changed over the years. It doesn't have to be years, changed over the months. And it's just the journey that we take. If you log into your first lesson in Tai Chi and how you did the 10 form and how you compare it to the 10 form today, hey, it's way different. But that's important. We constantly are refining and finding more stuff, good stuff about ourselves, okay? At the same time, yes, strengthening our muscles and gaining that endurance that we need. Anything else? So we know that what Ken does as Serpent and what I do are similar but yet still different. So we have room to accommodate everybody for their differences. But as long as we understand that we are on the same page of understanding what it means to root down, what it means to shift weight, what it means to then spin on that axle to get to that zigzag position. Those are the things that we're trying to promote and prioritize, the principles, so that it's not just applied to serpent in the grass, but to everything that we do in Tai Chi.
The bottom line is any Tai Chi is better than no Tai Chi at all.
That's right, right? And that's why you've lasted so long, because you know that there's something good going on with Tai Chi. All right, time to wrap it up, time to do the 24 if there are no questions, okay? Okay, Yang 24, good Tai Chi posture. Commencing form. Open. Rotate, deep breath. Drop your shoulders, flex your knees. Heart the wild horse's mane. Out and to the side. 1. 2. And 3. Half step. Spin. Watch that advancing right hand up with the toe, lift it off the ground, stretch out, white crane. Tuck the elbow in as you bisect towards your dantian. Swirl back, right hand higher, lift the front to its heel, brush knee 1. Sit back, twist out, brush knee, spiral 2. Sit back. And 3. Half step. Sit back, rock to the heel, play your lute. Drop the front foot, center, glance at the back higher, Lead with the toe. Multitask. Brush. Repulse 1. Center, higher glance. Lead with the toe. Repulse 2. Center, glance higher. Lift off. Toe, heel. Pivot 3. Center, glance. Lead with the toe. Modify that foot. Repulse final. Hold your ball on a T stance. Out and to the side. Give me some space. Pause. Turn hips and waist. Leave the feet flat. Grasp the bird's tail. Contact, turn at the hips and waist. Push that energy out. Separate it. Roll back. Sit down. Come up. Then lunge forward. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. T stance with the ball. Out on an L. Ward off. Turn hips and waist. Reposition hands. Bring down the bird's tail. Turn at the hips and waist. Contact, turn again. Push out. Separate. Roll back and sit down on that imaginary stool. Come up. Then lunge forward together with hands and feet. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. 12 o'clock. 9 o'clock. 12 o'clock. Shift weight, hook at 3. T, across the face, L. First single whip. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, 12 o'clock. Cup, 3 o'clock. Hips and waist. Engage. To do perfect cloud hands. Second rotation. Final rotation. T the foot, 12 o'clock, hook 3, across the face, out L, turn, second single whip. Half step, sit back, rock the front, lift off, pat your horse. Cross, step out on a zigzag with your left heel. Gather energy, center, right foot, right hand, kick out, in, drop gently on your heel, punch the guy's ears, finalize it, sit back, open the palms, spin around, left hand, left foot up, kick out, in, plant that toe, plant down, pivot out, zigzag, extend those arms, shift weight up, golden cockerel. Toe, spin, hook, out, plant, down, pivot, zigzag to the right, suspend, shift weight, golden cockerel. Out, heel, hold ball. Heel out, spin the ball as it goes to the forehead. Turn your hips and waist, push out, shuttle. Sit back, sit down, pivot to the right, hold your ball, left heel out, turn the ball, turn your hips and waist, shuttles left. Half step to the back, set up the right hand, point that left foot down to the bottom of the seat. One hand, join it by the second hand, touch, lift up the left, flush arms like a fan. Sit back, pivot, up and down, pivot out with your heel to deflect, bring it in as you parry, then punch, touch, roll back, sit down, spiral up, then lunge forward. Sit back, sit down, pivot, open pivot, in pivot, cross hands, then shift your weight, rotate those wrists, bring it in, push one more time, drop your shoulders, flex your knees, let gravity take care of you as you now close your form. Okay, Yang 24, good Tai Chi posture, commencing form. Open, rotate, deep breath, Drop your shoulders, flex your knees. Part the wild horse's mane. Out and to the side. 1. 2. And 3. Half step. Spin. Watch that advancing right hand up with the toe lifted off the ground. Stretch out. White crane. Tuck the elbow in as you bisect towards your danten. Swirl back. Right hand higher. Lift the front to its heel. Brush knee 1. Sit back. Twist out. Brush knee. Spiral 2. Sit back. And 3. Half step. Sit back, rock to the heel, play your lute. Drop the front foot, center, glance at the back higher, lead with the toe, multitask, brush, repulse 1. Center, higher glance, lead with the toe, repulse 2. Center, glance higher, lift off, toe, heel, pivot 3. Center, glance, lead with the toe, modify that foot, repulse final. Hold your ball on a T stance, out and to the side, give me some space, pause, turn hips and waist, leave the feet flat, grasp the bird's tail. Contact, turn at the hips and waist, push that energy out, separate it, roll back, sit down, come up, then lunge forward. Sit back, sit down, pivot, T stance with the ball, out on an L, ward off. Turn hips and waist, reposition hands, bring down the bird's tail, turn at the hips and waist, contact, turn again, push out. Separate, roll back and sit down on that imaginary stool, come up, then lunge forward together with hands and feet. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Shift weight, hook at 3, T, across the face L, first single whip. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock, cup, 3 o'clock. Hips and waist, engage, to do perfect cloud hands. Second rotation. Final rotation. Tee the foot, 12 o'clock, hook 3, across the face, out L, turn, second single whip. Half step, sit back, rock the front, lift off, pat your horse. Cross, step out on a zigzag with your left heel. Gather energy, center, right foot, right hand, kick out. In, drop gently on your heel, punch the guy's ears, finalize it, sit back, open the palms, spin around, left hand, left foot up, kick out, in, plant that toe, plant down, pivot out, zigzag, extend those arms, shift weight up, golden cockerel. Toe, spin, hook, out, plant, down, pivot, zigzag to the right, suspend, shift weight, golden cockerel. Out, heel, hold ball. Heel out, spin the ball as it goes to the forehead. Turn your hips and waist, push out, shuttle. Sit back, sit down, pivot to the right, hold your ball, left heel out, turn the ball, turn your hips and waist, shuttles left. Half step to the back, Set up the right hand, point that left foot down to the bottom of the seat. One hand, join it by the second hand, touch, lift up the left, flash arms like a fan. Sit back, pivot, up and down, pivot out with your heel to deflect, bring it in as you parry, then punch, touch, roll back, sit down, spiral up, then lunge forward. Sit back, sit down, pivot, open pivot, in pivot, cross hands, then shift your weight, rotate those wrists, bring it in, push one more time, drop your shoulders, flex your knees, let gravity take care of you as you now close your form. Okay, good job.